Hey guys, welcome to another Trade Genius podcast. Bob and Phil here as always. And yes, we are back. We're going to talk about NVIDIA today. Lots going on in these markets. We're going to dive into it. So let's go.
Trade Genius.
Hey everybody, it's Bob with Trade Genius. Hey, it is holiday season and our holiday specials are running right now. Use promo code HOLIDAY. You already blew it. You missed the Black Friday specials, but this is your second chance to take advantage of some of the best pricing that we do for the year. Check us out, tradelikeagenius.com, tradegenius.co, tradegeniusacademy.com. All roads lead to Trade Genius. Check us out. Incredible deals. Thanks for listening.
Bob, NVIDIA, the S&P 500, Bitcoin, all just mooning today on a Monday. What is going on?
Yeah, I think we want to show you NVIDIA just to show you the insanity that has overtaken the markets here. So NVIDIA is just, I think, a microcosm of the insanity that's happening in the stock market. And I wanted to pick on this one in particular because it's just rising. Its level of absurdness is rising above all the other absurd, Mag 7 stocks. So we have a situation here where it looks just like the year 2000. I'm going to get to the charts here in a second. So I traded and I also worked in the tech sector in 2000. And in 1999, it was just the same sort of insanity. This was the internet was going to take over the world. It was changing every business model out there. Sell all your commercial real estate. We had pets.com. We had all these crazy, and these guys were just getting these massive valuations because they were front running the fact that, you don't have to keep inventory. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do that. Well, flash forward to today, and we got the same thing with AI. And the thing that got my attention this week and that I want to talk about today is that the market cap for NVIDIA is now $200 billion higher than all the companies in the S&P 500 energy sector combined. And those guys have basically 6 times the cash flow of NVIDIA. And people say, well, NVIDIA's growing really fast. Well, it can't grow faster than all the PCs out there. And not everybody needs these chips. And the other one, I don't think if I sent you over or not, but NVIDIA's market cap is bigger than the entire market cap weighting of the Chinese stock market, the second largest stock market in the world. Now, you could say the Chinese stock market is forked, and I would say it's probably 30% overvalued just as a general rule, but still, it's crazy, especially in light of the fact that China can't use NVIDIA chips, so they're going to be creating their own chips, and Russia and China will probably use them, and there you go, you lost 1/3 of the market in the world anyway. So I wanted to show you a fractal. It lines up with, we heard the same thing about Cisco Systems. So this is the fractal with NVIDIA overlaid over top of Cisco. Now that black area you see where the peak is, that's where we are right now. And so my view is that probably with earnings, and who knows, it could simply just fail here. Earnings are coming up on the 20th. We may just get one of these final blow-offs. People are saying, hey, NVIDIA to 1,000, and then you're going to get this really huge spike down. I think so too. And then you're going to get a reverb bounce fill, and then the Eiffel Tower takes effect. This looks a lot like the gold and silver charts of 2010 as well. This is a classic blow-off top. And it's not just NVIDIA, it's also SMCI. And I think I have another chart to show you too. And this is the kind of chart you like to look at when you look at your Bitcoin trading too, is basically linear regression. Throw that one up here, Phil. Is that, look at the last time it did that. And remember, NVIDIA had 70% drawdowns. Okay, this is not the first rodeo with the NVIDIA exuberance train. So they've done this 2 other times and had 70% sell-offs before they find a new avenue to reinvent themselves and start the hype train again. Well, now we're at the peak of the hype train, and I think they're going to probably change their name from NVIDIA to Thelma and Louise because I think we're that close.
Yeah, so Bob, back to this chart of Cisco. This was the 2001 move into 2002, the dot-com bust, basically. Yeah, so I think it's the similarities between this and the dot-com boom, and it's funny because, here we are with another tech bubble, this time AI-driven. What's interesting, though, is that there's large segments of the market that are totally divergent from everything else. The dot-com was it was much more broad and the breadth was better. And this is now just basically, the way I like to comment on this is toothpicks holding up a brick, because you just have these last few stocks that are really driving everything higher. And really, this is just a classic blow off move. And what's interesting about this is that I think you're going to see things like Nvidia and things like Bitcoin could see just this final move that is really just bizarre and goes really high. Like Bitcoin could go to, I think it's reasonable if it takes out the previous all-time high at 69,000 and change, you could see a vertical move that actually goes up and tags like 105, 115, stuff like that. Nvidia could challenge, 1,000, 1100. And so, is this fractal that we've overlaid here perfect? No, but I think it's generally going to give you the structure of what could happen. And people are going to think, it's just a new bull market. And then stuff that we'll get into later this week is going to show you that the macro, the underlying big red flags are being waved. And we have I plan on showing you guys a number of different things under the hood, from unemployment to just other things that are, when you take this into account, you will then view this as a blow off type of move. And then it's not really the start of a new bull market, because the things that would start a new bull market, we don't have them in place here. We just don't. This is probably an example of why leverage is bad in the system, because we're seeing moves that are getting more and more and more extreme. And it's not unusual to see a high before you roll over, especially with an inverted yield curve. Remember, guys, this is all happening with an inverted yield curve. That is not where bull markets start. They start when the yield curve has steepened back and is in a regular, where the long end of the yield is beating out the short end of the yield. So we don't have any of that stuff in play. And I think that enjoy this while it happens, and hopefully you can capture some of these big gains. And I actually think if you're hodling Bitcoin for a long time, that this might be an opportunity for you to actually capture some gains finally. Because I think if we do roll over into that recession trade, the pullback here will look like this Cisco overlay, and it will affect things like Bitcoin too.
Yeah, and we also have a blow off going on inverted in natural gas too. So KOLD, which is a leverage short natural gas, it's going up magnitudes every week now. And I wouldn't be surprised if this week it goes from this 147 where it touched today, potentially can get to 200 in a move. And with the contracts expiring in February, remember March is very, very positive for natural gas. So they guys might be driving price down to get good prices on this thing. The other thing too is that all's not lost here. Well, I think we may get a rotation from tech to energy. So there's a lot of opportunities here. Energy names today are actually skying, and I'm heavy energy. So, I'm really happy. Sad I missed the tech move, but when it's blowing off like this, I'd rather just sit back and complain about it than try to jump in and get my head handed to me. You just have to be wrong for 1 or 2 days and you lose everything. And I think people are at that point right now, Phil. So with that, guys, we'll let you go. Sorry we had to take a hiatus. Phil and I did some seminars down in Florida, and then we took time off. We've been doing this for a long time. I think this is the first vacation I ever took that I didn't do any podcast or any interviews. So we're ready to go at it here pretty hard. So we'll see you guys tomorrow, God willing, and we have some great content for you.
See you guys later.
Trade Genius.